When you see people that have never gotten out of it, like we can all probably think of a few people that we work with, not in this office, just in the general real estate landscape, that have never gotten over that anger. And they try and strong arm every deal they have. They try and strong arm every inspector, buyer, seller, you. And it really creates a lot of tension, anger, and frustration, and sometimes fear whenever you're on the other side, versus you get more bees with honey, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that working through that probably has gotten you more business. You're able to do the state stuff that you're doing. I don't think you'd be able to do that if you were constantly, hounding someone or down someone's throat. So I think it has, the fact that you've acknowledged it and worked towards it has probably made a really big impact on your life and your family's life.
Yeah, because I think that, we have to admit that adversity changes us. It's going to change you. A hardship is going to change you. And you can decide, though, is it going to change you for the good or for the bad?
Exactly.
Are you going to be the kid that grows up and says, well, I come from a long line of alcoholics, and so, I'm a drunk, and that's what we do, or are you going to be the one that stands up and says, I will never live like that?
Yep.
Are you going to be the one that says, yeah, I was, whatever, I had something happen in my household years ago, so I'm just going to sit in fear all the time? Or are you going to say, no, I take control of that, and that won't happen to me again? We do get to be the author of that. Now, it's not always easy to overcome that in your head, but we do get to decide ultimately in the end how you let it affect you. Yeah. Is it going to break you and make you into exactly whatever was trying to make you into, or is it going to make you rise up and be better?
Exactly.
And be different?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I would wholly agree with that.
We can decide that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I think in your instance, Paul, it's made you a better person. And I know you feel like you still, struggle with it. And I have no doubt that you do to a large degree. But from an outsider's perspective, looking in, I feel like you have been able to elevate above that and take a path where you're aware and using it in a way that is productive and using it in a way that is helping you become a better person. And we all on the journey of becoming a better person. That should be our goal in life. But what you had gone through in the early 2000s has helped shape who you have become today to a large degree. And I would argue to the positive. And I think, if you really look at it from that perspective, I know you're the hardest person on yourself. We all are, right? We're pretty hard on ourselves. Wouldn't you agree? Wouldn't you think that that's what you have gone through has made you a better person, even though it's been painful and difficult?
Yeah, I'm a different person than I was 22 years ago, for sure.
So our camera just shut off. We're having a little bit of technical difficulty. I should have charged it more. That was my fault. But I do want to say,
nickname?
What's that?
It's the struggle bus.
The struggle bus.
That's
Right.
exactly
Ben, the struggle bus.
Would we expect anything different?
Would we expect anything? Exactly. The struggle bus Lyons. But at least they can hear the audio of this and they can still see your two pretty faces, ladies. But I do want to say, because part of why we came up with this topic, or why this topic came to mind, was I was reading through some quotes, and one was from Marcus Aurelius, who was an emperor he was a Roman emperor almost 2,000 years ago. And he wrote a lot of sayings, and someone compiled that into a book called Meditations. And it really is profound things that he said 2,000 years ago that still affect us today. And one of the things he said is, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. In other words, when you're facing an obstacle, you're facing a problem in your life, there are people that run around that try to escape that. And there are other people that see that obstacle now becomes the way. You have to conquer that obstacle or whatever is in the way to become the next version of you. And I think adversity for us as entrepreneurs, as business people, as just honest, good-working people that want to become better, adversity is a very critical part, and we shouldn't shy away from that. Now, do we have to make things more difficult? No. But and do we have to smile through it all, Shannon? No.
We certainly don't.
It's also, no decision is still a decision. Just because you're running around the problem, that even if the problem eventually resolves itself, you've just made the decision.
Right.
You've accepted it.
I've decided not to tackle this. That's a decision.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
100% is a decision. Yep. So no decision, and inaction is actually an action. So, very interesting conversation. Thank you for being vulnerable today. That was pretty incredible.